So, before we break down the parts of a neuron, we need to understand what a neuron actually is. So, a neuron is a specialized cell that's found in the nervous system, and it's designed to process, receive, and transmit information. Its main purpose is communication. So, they send signals throughout the body so that we can think, move, feel sensations, and even respond to the world around us. So, every thought, reflex, and an action, it depends on the rapid and the precise work of these cells. So let's take dendrites for example. They are branch-like extensions that spread out from the soma. Their job is to receive incoming signals from other neurons, and they act like tiny antennas. They pick up chemical messages and they carry them towards the cell body. So the more dendrites a neuron has, the more connections it can form. Then we have the soma, which is also called the cell body. It's the neuron's control central. It contains a nucleus, which holds the cell's genetic material, and it keeps the neuron alive by managing essential functions, which we can say like energy production and protein synthesis. So think of it as a neuron's headquarter. It's where the decisions are made about whether a signal should continue traveling. Last but not least, we have the myelin sheath, which is a fatty insulating layer that wraps around the axon, and it's produced by specialized glial cells. So it speeds up the electrical signal transmission, and allowing it for impulses to travel rapidly and efficiently. Without these myelin, these signals would slow down dramatically.
The axon terminals are the branches of an axon that transfer active potentials away from the neuron to another neuron. The nodes of Ranvier are gaps in the myelin sheath of an axon that allow an impulse to jump from one layer of myelin to another. The synapse is a structure between neurons that allow for the transmission of signals from one neuron to another. It takes on the appearance of a gap. The process of an action potential begins with the cell membrane at resting state, which has a charge of negative 70 millivolts. This is because it contains more negatively charged ions than positively charged ions. When a stimulus is received, neurotransmitters bind to the receptors of dendrites in the cell membrane. This causes sodium ion channels to open, which causes sodium ions to enter inside of the cell. This positively increases the charge in the membrane. If the stimulus is strong enough sodium ions will enter for the voltage of the cell membrane to cross the threshold, around negative 55 millivolts, the charge required for an action potential to occur. This is an all or nothing process. If the threshold of negative 55 millivolts is not reached, the action potential will not occur.
Once the threshold is reached, voltage-gated ion channels will open, causing sodium ions to flood into the cell and further positively charge the cell to a peak of plus 40 millivolts. This process is known as depolarization. When depolarization occurs, the electrochemical impulse fires and begins traveling down the axon, starting from the axon hillock. The myelin sheath surrounding the axon helps speed up the process by allowing the impulse to quickly jump from one layer of myelin to the next. At this stage, the potassium ion channel opens, allowing potassium ions to escape from the cell to rebalance its voltage. This causes the voltage of the cell membrane to drop below the base level towards minus 80 millivolts, in a process known as hyperpolarization. During this process, the axon cannot receive any other stimulus. This is known as the refractory period. Eventually, the potassium ion channel closes. The sodium-potassium pump stabilizes the charge back to the baseline level. Through the coordinated flow of sodium and potassium ions and the rapid sequence of electrical changes, neurons transmit information with remarkable speed and precision. So, in just a split second, with sodium rushing in, potassium rushing out, and electrical signals zipping along the axon, your neurons manage to send messages that let you think, move, feel, and react. Pretty impressive for something that happens millions of times a second.